Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. I'm gonna say I don't know how people do these. They do like 3 videos in one day. You know, Comics Matter with your boy Zach. He's doing like 2 or 3 videos every single day. Comic Book Hut. He's doing at least 3 videos every single day. I can do 1, but the thing is you have to edit the thing, and that takes a lot of time. So if I could just do 1 single take and, you know, nobody was annoyed by my rambling or anything like that, I'd be just fine. Okay, I got to show you this. I want to talk about publishing, Black Mask specifically. There is some news, but I did want to show this off. I just got this in the mail, and this is Hellboy Volume 1. Now, I got this thing where some of the books that I have, graphic novels in particular, I'll have some trades and I'll have some hardbacks because it was just what was available, and it really bothers me. Like, it's so irritating. I want to have all soft covers or all hard covers, but having a mixture of both in the same series is extremely obnoxious. I actually wanted to get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle hardback stuff, but I just didn't because I have all the trades. So yeah, I don't know. I just can't do it. So I thought, Hellboy, I'm going to try and get this fancy library edition. This will serve 2 purposes. First, to see if I like the form factor, so to speak, the book itself. And then 2, if I enjoy reading it, then how cool would that be to just have all of these massive library editions from Mike Mignola. I already know I love his art. So I'm going to read this, and yeah, I'll let you know what I think about it. But so far, this is gorgeous. This to me is the epitome of success. Like, I'd love to do that, do a series that does well, and then publish it in like even just one of these, you know, depending on how long it is. But yeah, something like that, oversized library edition, that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Publishing. All right, we're going to get into publishing. All right, so Black Mask has got some interesting news. Now, it got me thinking, maybe I should jump to that first. Let's do that. Black Mask. That way I'm not going to bury the lead here. Black Mask, January 2020 solicits details of cancellations, restrictions, and digital-only replacements. That is right. Black Mask is reining things in a little bit as far as their publishing goes. I don't know why this matters, but it matters. This is why it matters, okay? Because this is a sign that traditional publishers, how big or small they are, don't have all their stuff together. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly how everybody's managing their numbers, but you remember Lionforge combining, was it Oni Press? Oni? I think I always say it wrong, so whichever one I say, it's always the opposite. It feels like they combined forces, right? And that could be a good thing for them, but it's also a sign that things weren't great. They weren't happy with the way that things were going. Okay, Black Mask has changed things a little bit, and I've noticed the same thing with Action Lab Comics, where they're publishing digital only, and then they kind of see how digital goes. The reason why this, to me, is the beginning of the end, as far as publishers go, is because digital sales, they're not comics, okay? I get it, like a lot of people enjoy digital, but at the same time, you don't get this, right? If it sold really well digital, I'm sure it would go to a print. But I've seen a lot of Hellboy stuff, for example, on the internet, on a screen. It looks nice, but when you see it in print, it is something amazing. I mean, it really is art. In my opinion, digital can be nice. It can supplement things, but when you have entire publishers going to digital only or digital first, to me, that's the beginning of the end. Yeah, that's not a route that I want to go personally. All right, so let's get into this one. In recent months, publisher Black Mask has stopped soliciting comic books. They also appeared to have stopped publishing them as solicited series got later and later and later. They were publishing things late. Now, I've heard a lot of ado about books being late. The crazy thing to me is that other publishers like this, Black Mask, that used to be, it seems like they got held accountable a lot. Recently, it just kind of got ignored. And so they have late books. They have a lot of late books. They stopped soliciting books because their books were so late, and they're changing things up. All right, so representatives tell Bleeding Cool that they have slowed down such activities this year to get delayed books back on schedule and to fix systems that had stretched thin over the years, and that they will return to previews next week with comic books scheduled for January. All right, so yeah, they're going to get back, start publishing things in January. Why does this matter? Well, this matters because this is a legitimate publishing house. Yes, it's small. They have a lot of titles. They have a lot of people, creators. They've done a lot of books. They've had a ton of press. All of this matters. If somebody like your boy Zach, for example, is putting out more books in a year than an established indie publisher like Black Mask, that is a sign, okay? Let that sink in for a minute. I know Jawbreakers is running behind. It sounds like it's going to be going to print about the same time Downcast is. I sent all the files in. Like, I think we are good to go, by the way. It's going to print as well, and then he's got the other book that's already finished. And so, presumably, he'll launch that campaign. What is it called? Iron Sights. Iron Sights is his next one. That's 2 books the same year. And in fact, it's worth more than that because each of those books is a graphic novel. It's got more than just, you're not talking about single issues here. All right, but maybe Black Mask is going to pull things up. They're going to do better. Oh wow, I think I'm going to get demonetized from showing this loud. Okay, here's their 2020 solicitations for Black Mask. Loud. All right, that doesn't look interesting at all, I'll be honest. Here's the next one, Space Raiders Vortex of Darkness. I'm not a real big fan of that art or the color scheme for that matter, but it exists. Lab Raiders, how's this for cringe? Whose fantasy is this? That's what I want to know. Lab Raiders, free the animals, burn the system. Presumably this is about a few, it's written by Matt Miner as well. All right, well, it's starting to make a little bit more sense here. How would it be a few environmental activists and then you're reading comic books so you can live your wildest dreams of destroying private property, breaking in and freeing lab animals, and look at these. It looks like they're I don't know, some kind of weird genetic cat griffin things going on here. That is just, I don't know. Sometimes I think I live in a different world if this is entertainment. I just don't get that. Revised schedule, here we go. The Wilds. All right, okay. Kim and Kim, may have heard about this one for sure. Kim and Kim, there's one. Space Raiders, Snap Flash Hustle, Volume 1, Come Unto Me on VHS for some reason. Nobody is in control. Does this count as a comic book? Because I could do this. That is a dog, that is a photograph of a dog that has been superimposed behind bars, which are also photographed. They're just turned red. I have a lot of hope because if this counts, then I'm in. I'm now a comic book artist. I can Photoshop like no other. All right, you get the idea. So that's kind of what they have going out. All right, so this is a problem with when you've got a publishing house. There are a few problems. One of those is being if you grow too big for your britches, so to speak. Yeah, I know. I just said that phrase like a boomer. If publishing houses cannot sustain how big they grow, how many titles that they have, if they're not able to get those out on time, that's a huge problem for a publisher. In fact, I would think that that's one of the things that a publisher has an advantage over, like a small imprint, somebody that's publishing their own work. I asked this question on Twitter today. It was self-publishing versus traditional publisher, pros and cons, go. And I've got a few. I'm going to read through some of these. Jeremy Lott says, The Will, how much do you like reinventing it? And that is a good point in essence. If you go to a publisher, they're going to have presumably all this stuff figured out. And that's the thing. If you go to the right publisher, if you go to Black Mask and you get something published, that doesn't mean that your book is going to be even coming out on time. It doesn't mean that you're actually going to see a print of any kind. It could be digital only or something like that. It's also kind of unfortunate that becomes part of your reputation as a comic book professional. If you work with a publisher that doesn't get stuff out on time and it taints your reputation. Let's see, here's another one. Traditional publishing. 1, it's easier access to secondary media, TV and film. Okay. Number 2, upfront costs beyond materials. No upfront cost, beyond materials. I think that means that the traditional publisher is basically shouldering some of the risk in the costs. Number 3, printing and distribution is handled for you. I am learning that that's actually a big deal. Printing and distribution, just all that kind of stuff. There's a lot to it. I mean, maybe it's just because it's my first time with all of that. It was a hassle. Having said that, we're still getting the book out on time. All right, I'm going to skip down here to Kendall Hare. It says self, as in self-publishing, you get to keep your character and the rights to them. No one is coming behind you to change the thing you created. That is true. You totally control it. Here's Adam Friended. He says, pro, I'm less likely to tell my boss to F off. Con, I am the boss. That's true. I'm going to skip down here to this Mark Wade pick. I don't know, Clint, but let's ask Mark Wade what he thinks. Hey, Mark, do you think... Oh, never mind. And yeah, there's a picture of Mark Wade being photoshopped onto a massive, huge, like, bouncer's body or something like that. And this is a great example because this happened, lest you forget. Now, if you are controlling it yourself, you might not be able to get into comic shops. Having said that, in some cases, even if you do have a publisher, you're not getting into comic shops because, you know, someone decides that you're not allowed to be there. All right, here's George Alexopoulos. I don't get the rest. Okay, it says self-publishing. Don't need to ask for permission for anything. You are in full control of the process every step of the way. Massive amounts of work with massive reward. Own 100% of your IP. Publishers are nice, but it makes creators complacent, dependent. Absolutely, I've seen a ton of that. It's kind of shocking how many professional creators that you know could do it. They've seen how the system works, but there's this safety system working with their publishers, and so stepping out and publishing something on your own, it's just such a massive risk. They can't get there. Let's see, here's one from Tyler from Draw and Talk. Hey Tyler, self-publishing equals do all the work, possibly rake in more money. There's higher rewards. The ceiling is much higher. Traditional publishing equals you still have to market, but your printing costs are taken care of, but you make little money. My day job working at a traditional book publishing company, that is interesting. I'd love to ask Tyler about that. He actually works for a traditional publishing company, and he says, I will never traditionally publish. All really great points, especially if you have the experience of actually working for a publisher. It's kind of one of those things you see how it's done and you realize there's really not that much to it. It's not that it's easy. It's that it is doable. It's approachable. And a lot of people are really approaching it in several different ways. All right, so I think that's it. I might make another video and post that today. So we'll see what happens. But thanks very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Would love to know in the comments below what you think about this digital only publishing thing. Is there serious problems with Black Mask, or what could they do to possibly turn things around? And then I'm going to ask you the same question: self-publishing versus traditional publishing. What is the route? I do think that there are actually benefits to both of those routes, and a lot of that depends on what kind of publishing deal you're getting, what the offer is. The other would be, I guess, how well you can market things, and that actually affects both. Like whether you're a traditional publisher or self-publisher, you're still got to figure out how to market things. So yeah, but definitely a factor. So thanks very much, and yeah, I'm going to let you know how Hellboy turns out. I'll see you next time.